Welcome back to Live With, brought to you by SciTech Nutrition. Visit SciTechNutrition.com. I'm Dave Palumbo, and tonight's guest is IFBB Women's Physique Pro preparing for this weekend's Rising Phoenix World Championships, Helle Trevino. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
How you doing?
And
we haven't talked in a while.
It's Bodybuilding Pro.
I know. What?
Yeah.
Did I say physique? Oh my God! What a faux pas on my part. You see what happens? Even I've been brainwashed.
I was like, who's in the studio?
I'm brainwashed. You know, it's funny, but you know what? I have to ask you this question. I guess it's an apt question to start with. Are you pissed off that there's no more Miss Olympia and that you have to do this Rising Phoenix show instead?
Well, no, I can't say I'm pissed off. I mean,
it's been around forever.
Phoenix. Well, I participated in the Rising Phoenix last year, and it's an awesome show. So it's not like you can't say I'm pissed off and I have to do that instead, because I love what they're doing and I love that show. I would say it like this: I am disappointed that they took us out of the Olympia.
Let me ask you, why can't the Rising Phoenix guys are putting up a lot of money for this show? I know they're losing money. There's no way they're making money on the show because they're giving away a lot of prizes. They treat you guys very well there. Why wouldn't they just purchase the rights, or why wouldn't they, the IFBB give the rights to them to hold the Miss Olympia contest in Phoenix? I don't get it.
I think they said last year they broke even, but I think they think that they can make it a business. Their aim is to make money on it, and they think that we do have the fans and we do have the pull to be able to do that. But you got to take in consideration Olympia. They haven't really advertised us. They haven't really done any promotion. Like every time when I would go to the Olympia, I would see like big like banners on the elevators, like the whole elevator door would be a guy. But they would have all the top Olympian guys on. They wouldn't have the women. It's like they just you need promotion to have somebody to something to thrive. And of course, it's always, they said it was about the numbers and the money and all of that. Of course, there's not going to be as many competitors in a female bodybuilding show than a bikini show. And like the same for the men, so there's not going to be as many men as for a physique man. And also in the audience, if you say every competitor bring 3 people of their family or friends, it's going to be more people coming when there's like freaking 100 or 200 people in the class. And that's just how it is. And I don't really get it, because bodybuilding should be one of the main attractions. I see it a little bit like bikini and figure and stuff. They bring numbers, they bring more like mainstream physiques that a lot of people can obtain. That's beautiful, and I love those categories, but they're not freaky. Where a lot of people, they come to see the freak factor. It's like they want to see the muscle, they want to see the hardcore, they want to see the real like hardcore dedication, sweat, pain, sacrifice. And that's when the bodybuilders come in. We are the biggest, we're the most muscular, we are the most shredded. So we bring the freak factor. So I don't understand why that they say we don't have an entertainment value. So no, I don't get it. And I am disappointed they took us out. And I hope that Wings of Strength is going to do really, really well, and Olympia's going to regret it.
Well, you know what? I think the best thing that ever happened to women's bodybuilding was that they took you out of that Olympia program. And I'll tell you why. Because you were being overshadowed. Even no one cares about figure and bikini as much as they do bodybuilding, because the bodybuilding is the main attraction of the Olympia weekend. That's why I always felt there should be a separate weekend. Like back in the day, men's Olympia and women's Olympia were not on the same weekends. They were separate. They were like a month apart. So I think the best thing that was happened was that the women's bodybuilding was removed from the Olympia. The thing that they should have done is they should have just given the Wings of Strength people the Miss Olympia title to use, so that you can hold the Miss Olympia wherever the hell you want as a separate contest. and promote it so you can still have that title of Miss Olympia. I think what the Wings of Strength guys are doing is tremendous in the terms of giving away a lot of money and treating you women with a lot of respect and giving you a lot of hype and hoopla around it. But I think that the I guess you could say the distinction of having the title of Miss Olympia is gone now because they have to call it something else. So I don't know. Obviously, there's some kind of political reason for that. Let's leave that aside for a minute. You were second place at last year's.
They wanted a lot of money for the name,
All right.
and they weren't willing to pay that much money.
Funny thing is, they want money for the name, but then no one's using the name. It's a classic sign of like putting it on the shelf. You know what I mean?
I think, when the years go by and people realize, I always like when I post online, say the new Miss Olympia, that people realize that this is now, Olympia also had to build their name back in the day. And maybe Rising Phoenix, in a few years, it's going to be an established name also. So I think it matters right now because people are still like, I get a lot of questions like, are you going to the Olympia? And I'm like, well, yeah, I'll be there. But, I'm actually going to the Rising Phoenix. That's the newest Olympia. So it's a lot of explaining to do right now. But I think, with the years, it's going to be an established title. And like I said, it's hard. I can't really say I'm pissed. Of course, I can say I'm disappointed they didn't want us to participate anymore in the Olympia. But I'm not really pissed off because, we are much better off. More money, more promotion, and they do everything for us. So it couldn't be better.
You came in second place at the Rising Phoenix. Margie Martin won. She went home with a lot of money and a new customized Jeep. It was a big win for her, obviously. She's the defending champ. I'm assuming she'll be back this year. You were narrowly defeated. A lot of people thought you should have won the show. Was that a difficult loss for you because it was so close and it was such a big title with so much on the line?
Yes, it's always difficult when you're really, really close because it's also, what everybody said, and also some judges I talked to said it was really, really close. It was oranges and apples, and it could have gone out either way. And that's always like, it's almost like better to be fourth or fifth, and you still feel like you got to put the work in than when you're right there and it could have been yours. It's like, couldn't it just have been, So of course I was disappointed, but I'm not really a person that hover long over things. I'm just like, okay, it is what it is. That's competition. That's sports. It's like, it's up to the judges, and if they thought she was better that day, then that was their decision. I went up to head judge Steve Weinberg after the show and asked for some feedback. He gave me some feedback, and I went back to the gym and worked on the things that he said I needed to improve. I have improved it tremendously. So I'm very confident going into the show that, I have what it takes.
Critique that you got from Steve Weinberger?
He said I needed a thicker back, that it was the back. My legs are very, very strong, and he felt that I needed some more back. So I've been hammering back all year, twice a week, sometimes more, just hammering. So, and I really, really built a lot of back size, and I'm so confident that I actually pulled the back up from being a weaker muscle group to being my second best muscle group now. So the first 30 minutes or 30 seconds of my free routine is going to be only back poses. I'm that confident that I build a good back.
All right, well, that's encouraging because you always had the wheels. We knew that. I mean, a lot of people don't realize you started very young. You were, I think, were you 19 when you did your first show?
No, I started bodybuilding around 16, but I didn't compete before I was 22.
Still, that was very young. What was your first pro show? How old were you?
27. I was actually the youngest pro in the Olympia.
I remember.
Well, first I did the Jantana. I think I was the youngest actually
in the
Jantana too.
Right? 2003.
2003.
Yeah, you were fifth that year.
Fifth at the Olympia, yeah.
And that was when the Olympia was very tough, when the competition was
Yes.
super strict and stiff. Going
Yes.
into this show, obviously, last year there was no Alina Popa. She had torn a bicep. She took the year off. She had been the second place finisher 2 years in a row behind Iris Kyle at the last couple of Olympias they held. She'll be back this year. Are you concerned about her?
I'm not really concerned about anybody else than myself when I compete. I don't focus on other people. It's going to drive you crazy, and it's not good as an athlete to shift your focus from yourself to somebody else. So actually, I don't go on the other girls' social medias. I don't worry about anybody else but myself. I work closely with my coach, and we just discuss what's the plan for today, what's the plan for tomorrow. I take one day at a time, and I just try to make sure that today is I'm making better effort than yesterday, or at least just as good. So it's like it's all about myself when I prep.
Of course we know that, but I got to ask you about 10-time reigning Miss Olympia Iris Kyle. She had announced earlier this year that she was making a comeback at this Rising Phoenix show this year. I talked to her the other day on the phone. She told me a crazy story that she's not doing the show now because the promoters were trying to make her qualify at a previous show prior to doing the Rising Phoenix. Do you think it's wrong to try to make a reigning Miss Olympia, a 10-time Miss Olympia at that, qualify for this show?
You know, it's not really up to me to decide. I mean, it's their show, and they're saying it's not the Olympia. This is a new show. So they're like, everybody should have the same, criteria, and if she wants to compete, she needs to qualify. I mean, I would have, if it was me, I don't know, I would have just sucked it up and qualified, I mean, why not? I mean, she has the body, she can easily qualify.
Would you have as a 10-time Miss Olympia? Would you make Derek Jeter go back to the minor leagues if he wanted to make a comeback to the major leagues? It's a tough question. There's no right answer.
It's a tough question, it's really tough because they kind of like want to make it equal for everybody and not give anybody a hand up. But at the same time, I mean, yes, she won it 10 times, and she's a champion, so it's kind of hard to.
Yeah, but at the same time, they also gave Alina Popa a special invite to the show, right? Because she had the injury. So, it's kind of.
Yes, they did. That's true.
Yeah, I don't. There's no right answers, and you don't have the answers. I'm just bringing it up because it is a shame that we don't see Iris in this lineup because it would have been one of the best Olympias I think ever.
I would have hoped to see her in the lineup, but I hope she'll be back next year. And I always wanted to beat Iris Kyle.
That's why I know. That was my next question. How great would it have been for you to stand next to Iris Kyle on stage and potentially beat her because you're at your best?
Yeah, that would have been awesome. I mean, I hope she'll come back next year, and we can battle it out.
Right. Let me ask you this question.
I always love a challenge, so I'm not afraid of anybody, or it's like I have confidence in myself, and I keep improving every year. I got better, and now also I believe that I have the best coach in the world, so I feel very strong.
I was going to bring that up next. How did you meet, or how did you decide to start working, and actually, how did you convince Chris Osito to start working with you? Because he doesn't really work with any women anymore.
Actually, I didn't have to convince him at all. The thing that happened was that, well, I've always been a fan of Chris Osito. I mean, I started the sport many, many years ago in the 90s, and I've read all his articles in Muscle and Fitness and Flex, and I always agreed with his principles, and I believe that his principles are good for my body. There's many, many different ways you can diet, many techniques, and I just feel like his approach, I always, when he read his articles, I was always like nodding, and I was always like, that approach fits me. That's what I feel. I was doing something similar, and that worked for my body. And and then I met him at the Chicago Pro like a couple years ago, 3 years ago or something. I was second. He actually interviewed me for you guys.
That's right.
And he just said, like, wow, I really like your physique. I just really think you have an amazing look. And, I think you really have a great gift there. And I was really, really honored. And I was like, wow, the greatest. He said that to me. I think I had like training motivation for the whole year. So I decided, based on that I would contact him. So I wrote him on Facebook, but he never replied. Later on, I found out that he doesn't even use his Facebook, so maybe he never saw it. But then after that, I was kind of like, I really wanted to work with him, and I couldn't find his email address, and I started talking to people, and they all said, no, he doesn't work with women, so just don't go there. And then last year, after the show, I was really hungry. I was really like, I didn't want to take time off. I didn't want to like go into a lazy off season. And I was like, who am I going to work with? And I was like, I really want to work with Chris, man. Like, I really think he can bring my body to the next level. So I started looking around, and I actually saw he had his email address up on his Instagram. And I was like, okay, I'm going to write him right away. And he just, he's kind of like sometimes a little like cryptical when he answers email. I don't know if you emailed with him, but sometimes you don't really get it. And he said something like, yes, only thing he said, yes, I remember I was impressed at the Chicago. I don't work with women. And I was like, oh, thank you. I'm sorry, like maybe some other time or whatever, if you change your mind. And he was like, oh, no, like, I don't know. Like, oh, really? Holy shit. And he was like, I was like, oh, wow. He's like, yeah. He was like, I like a challenge. I was like, okay. And later on, I asked, I was kind of curious, and I said, like, why was it you took me on when you actually don't work with women? And he said, I like a challenge, and I believe you can win. So that was it.
Well, if Chris says that, then you obviously have a legitimate shot at the title, because Chris doesn't sugarcoat it. He's kind of like me, very brutally honest. Well,
That's looks like about it.
It looks
very honest.
Yeah. It looks like you're, from looking at your videos we've been watching online, on you put up all the time, your conditioning is looking tremendous. What do you think you'll weigh on stage?
I just asked Chris, actually, and he said he believed 171. I'm 173 today, so he believes another 2 pounds.
That's a lot. And how tall are you?
5'5".
A lot of muscle on. You'd probably be one of the biggest girls on stage, I would have to believe.
Yep.
What's the prize money this year? What's the prize packages they're giving out?
It's $50,000 cash and a $65,000 Jeep.
Okay, it was a little more. I think it was $75,000 last year, wasn't it?
No, it's the same.
It's the same thing. That's a lot of money. That's more money than any other division aside from men's bodybuilding gets.
Yeah,
for a title.
That's a lot. If you sell the car, you have 115 grand.
Yeah, I mean, if you get the car, you could put the car aside if you want. The prize money package, the cash alone, is more than any other division, I believe, aside from men's bodybuilding. So that's a pretty nice gift pack for you guys to get. What's second place? What'd you win last year?
I won 25,000.
I think that's about exactly what the winners at the Miss Olympia get. So
yes,
that's nice.
It's very generous and very nice. It makes life a lot easier for us because we can actually make a living now. And when we prep, I mean, it's been a really hard prep. I've really put a lot of work into it, and you know, at some periods of this diet, I've been doing cardio 3 times a day,
Wow.
plus the weight training, plus the posing training. So how can you even have a job? You know, it's like you can't go to work like regular people, you know,
No.
like 4 to like 8 to 5, you know, it's like not possible.
Right.
So being able to win some money, and you can, you know, I do some personal training and coaching of athletes and things where I can be flexible and I can work online, but like having like a regular job with being a pro athlete is just very, very tough.
Of course. Now you do go around the country and you do these advanced training technique, I guess seminars. How did that come about, and where are you going to be appearing next?
Right after the Rising Phoenix, I'm gonna fly out to Vegas to the Olympia, and I'm gonna be at some different booths. And then right after the Olympia, I'm gonna travel to Europe, and I'm gonna be in Denmark for about 3 weeks doing training technique seminars. And I started doing these just based on just people asking like all the time, like, you know, I put up a lot of videos. I'm on Snapchat every day, and I film all my trainings. And people were just like, "How are you doing this? And can you teach? And can you come to my gym?" So I started in Denmark because that's where I have a lot of connections and know everybody. But I really want to do more in the States. So if there's like gyms out there that really want me to come to the gym and teach them about you know, how to do the exercises correct. I work a lot with the mind-muscle connection, squeezing, different techniques, not just doing 12 reps, but how you can really maximize muscle growth with other types of techniques.
Well, it sounds exciting. You got a lot going on your plate. This is a big weekend for you. I believe Friday and Saturday is the show?
Yes, for me, it's well, Friday is like check-ins,
Right.
meetings, all of that, and Saturday is going to be the big day.
All right. Well, good luck on stage. You were second last year. Looking for that first place this year to be the new world champion and get all that great money and custom Jeep and all the hoopla that goes along with it. And I wish you the best of luck, Helle.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, and that'll take us.
Make sure to give one heck of a show.
Thank you. And that'll take us to the end of another episode of Live With, brought to you by SciTech Nutrition. Visit scitechnutrition.com. I'm Dave Palumbo. We'll see you next time.